I'm trans, Norma. And everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows.
This one says, hashtag cancel Netflix after 15 years. I can't put money towards this trans nonsense anymore. No, I shouldn't be laughing, but I have to laugh because it's kind of funny. Put your money where your morals are. Hashtag cancel Netflix, and then it says, cancel Groomflix. I f***ing can't. These people are crazy. Hi, I'm Samantha. In today's episode of The Transgenders Are Ruining the World, we have the government shutting down. Just kidding. Obviously, that was not our fault, despite President Bone Spurs trying to blame it on us. What we're really talking about today, the real current disaster that the trans community is currently causing, wink wink, is this trans character in a children's show. Oh no, the horror. Girl, I'm over this. Yes, I did deep dive onto Twitter to save you guys the pain of going onto that site. Please don't go on there. It's a horrible site to be on, but unless you want to just like support my tweets, whatever. Today on the site, Elon Musk calls for Netflix boycott over transgender themes in children's shows. I was gonna say, don't we have bigger issues to focus on, like the mass shootings that happened over the weekend? But no, because that was done by Elon and his followers and all those types of people are not talking about that. Instead, they would rather talk about a TV show that was canceled years ago. What? To perpetuate this trans hate that they have created. For today's video, we're gonna see what all this mess is about because, girl, there's 384,000 posts about this, 20 million views on Elon's tweet. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Like, what? I don't... My name is Samantha. I post new videos every single week here on my channel. So if you guys are not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that right now. I'll wait for you. Go ahead. Are you done? Thank you very much. Also, I brought back the red background. What do we think?
Approved.
I kind of like it. I think I'm gonna keep it. We'll see. I don't know. I also now stream over on Twitch. So if you guys have a Twitch channel and you're not following me over there, make sure you do that as well. The link is obviously down below. But yeah, with no further ado, let's get into it because I can't with these people. I'll start by reading the descriptor for, what the trend is all about. So it says, Elon Musk urged his 227 million X followers. That's a crazy number. He definitely just made everybody follow him. There's no way that many people follow him just out of their own free will. On October 1st, 2025, to cancel Netflix subscriptions due to LGBT representation in animated series like, quote, Dead End, Paranormal Park, and quote-unquote, The Babysitter's Club, which critics view as indoctrination for young audiences. It says thousands of users shared cancellation confirmations under hashtag cancel Netflix, contributing to a 5% drop in Netflix shares over 5 days and erasing over $15 billion in market value, though analysts note possible broader market influences. Supporters of the show emphasize their TV PG ratings and focus on inclusive storytelling, while Netflix has not responded officially. So yeah, obviously we're gonna be watching the clip that Elon tweeted out, this is a huge problem, this is a disaster, they're indoctrinating the children. And we're also going to be reacting to some of the tweets and the TikToks that I've seen discussing the show and talking about why they're so mad. But before I do that, I just have to reiterate that this episode that Elon is tweeting about was released in, I believe, 2022. The entire show was actually already canceled back in 2023. It's not even being released, it's not being filmed, it's not being created, it's done, it's over. Why are we talking about this now? Why is this important now? Over the past couple of weeks, like I said, we've seen mass shootings all over the country, and Republicans have been quick to talk about them, quick to blame the left, quick to blame the trans community. But when it's clear that it's not a trans person committing these crimes, they would rather talk about something from 2 years ago to continue this narrative that trans people are evil and coming after children. It is craziness, it is mean, and it is just not cool. I don't know what else to say. It's just not cool. I miss the days when we could just laugh at conservatives being mad at Mr. Potato Head and all that kind of stuff. Those were the golden days. Now we actually have to be concerned that bigger consequences are going to come from these people, from Elon tweeting about this, and from this right-wing ecosphere kind of talking about it as a whole. Trump has talked about numerous times now how he plans to, crack down on the left and make it harder for the left to speak out and to do certain things, and blaming us for, indoctrinating children is just part of their strategy. Not many people know a trans person. I believe the statistic is, more people say that they've seen a ghost than have met a trans person. So we're a very easy community to use as this evil, group that is, causing all these evil problems that needs to be eradicated, blah, 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 because people don't have that real life connection to be like, that's Samantha from the block. That's why I think it's so important to talk about this, because I'm literally just a person, girl. I'm like that person, whatever. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But for real, we're just people. And this massive hate campaign and this overwhelming attack on the trans community has just gotten so crazy. Like, I don't know what else to say, but I hope and I know that people now are starting to see this for what it is. Hatred as a way to distract from the greater problems that are going on, the greater issues that are going on, and the overall strategies that are being kind of imposed while we're not looking. Okay, let's get into the little show because I need like a mood lightener. I need a mood lightener. Let's go. So the original tweet, Elon Musk just like retweeted something. He like quote tweeted it. Is from Libs of TikTok. Can't. The fact that Libs of TikTok has become like as big as it has, it doesn't blow my mind because these right-wing media channels just love to promote them and love to like boost them everywhere. It's crazy, but they tweeted, OMG, Dead End Paranormal Park, a show on Netflix, is pushing pro-transgender, that's what you're gonna call it, is pushing pro-transgender on children. The show is advertised for 7-year-olds. It's being promoted on Netflix. Kids now. Parents, beware. What a beautiful start to the Halloween season, right? A little spooky show, right? I mean, it is spooky, but I was just talking about the trans inclusion. So that's spooky enough, right?
It's not the park. It's me. I'm trans, Norma. And everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows. And being here, it's like a whole new place. I can just be Barney, and I can choose if and when I tell people. I've never been happier. And that's saying something when I spent today chased by terrifying zombie mascots. Pugsley reminded me how important it is to live your life without apology. So I think I gotta give living here a shot. Don't you?
You don't need my permission. I just wouldn't want Courtney as a roommate.
Sorry, I'm rolling my eyes because that's what they're freaking mad about.
That's weird.
It's important to live your life authentically. No, you're not allowed to live your life authentically. You have to live your life on my terms. That's what they're saying. That's what their tweets consist of. Let's really think about this for a second, right? What happened in this scene? Nothing. Literally nothing happened. Nothing. All that happened was this kid, this teen, said that he was trans. And that's enough for these people to go ape crazy, bonkers. They're so mad about it. And that's all that happened. I really don't understand. I mean, we're gonna get into the tweets and everything, like all the reaction and everything from like the less famous people, whatever. But I don't know if they think that if their kid were to see this character in a show, then they would say that they want to be trans. Let me just say, I mean, I'm sure all of us know, but that's not how that works at all. Being trans, just like being gay, is something that you are born as. Like, obviously, we make the decision later in life to transition and to, you know, make those changes to ourselves. But that internal sense of being trans, that internal sense of like, I have the gender identity of a woman, that's something that I was born with. Right? Maybe I didn't recognize it for my first 17 years of my life, but that's something that I was born with. There was no changing that for me. So to say that representation like this makes kids trans or indoctrinates children is not accurate. There's no proof of that. There's no evidence of that. And it just doesn't make any sense. I say this literally all the time in my videos, all the time. I grew up watching straight people in shows, all the time straight couples, you know, making out, all that kind of stuff. I mean, not making out, but like kissing in Disney shows and stuff. And as badly as I wanted to be cisgender, as badly as I wanted to not be trans, I could not change that, right? There's nothing that would have changed that for me. Not seeing a cis person in a show, not seeing a straight person in a show, anything, like nothing. Sorry, babe. The only thing that representation in shows like this does is makes people who are trans feel like they're not alone. It makes them feel like there's nothing wrong with them and that they can accept who they are and they don't have to hate themselves. Because when I was growing up, when I had all of these internal feelings of like, why do I not feel like the other boys? Why do I feel like I want to be one of the girls? I didn't know. I thought I was cuckoo. You know what I mean? Like I didn't understand at all. If I had seen representation on a show of like a young trans person that, you know, was happy and successful and had like a good friend support group and had like whatever, it would have changed a lot for me. In a good way. Okay, in a good way. I remember seeing my first trans person on a TV show. I think it was the trans person from Degrassi. Does anybody remember? I think his name was Adam. And I was like so obsessed with Adam because I remember seeing a commercial that was like, Adam has a secret or something like that. And I was like, what's Adam's secret? Like, tell me this secret. Like, because I could tell that he was trans or whatever, but I was obsessed with that character. And it never really clicked for me back then. I think partly because his character was so like depressed and honestly not very aspirational. It was something that did mean a lot to me. And then when I did see representation that was more positive and more uplifting and more like, it's okay to be trans, it's okay to be who you are, and you know, there are people like you, then I was like, okay, got it, period. And I think maybe that's what these people are really afraid of. Maybe they're afraid of trans people feeling okay to transition. Maybe they're afraid of trans people being comfortable enough with themselves to make these decisions. Maybe they know that they can't actually make people not trans, but that they just want to scare us away from being trans. And these are just my thoughts. This is, you know, allegedly, because they have negative views of trans people, because they have these, you know, whether it be religious views of what a man and a woman should do, or they just hate trans people for whatever reason, whatever prejudice reason they do. They don't want people to transition. They want to stop it from being a thing. But what that will do, and I'm speaking to like parents out there that are, you know, maybe you have a trans kid and you don't want them to transition, whatever. What that ends up doing is making a depressed person. What that ends up doing is diminishing people's quality of life, increasing their rates of depression, increasing their rates of anxiety, all these types of things. And that is documented by data. So, you know, it's not just me saying that. So when I see these posts that are like, we'll get into the post in a second, that are like, protect our children from transgenderism. If you really want to protect children, you should listen to what, you know, medical associations say is best for them. You should listen to what psychiatric associations say is best for them. You should listen to what other trans people say is best for them. Yeah, we've been there, we've done that. And I can tell you, if you don't let them transition, they're not going to be happy. You can restrict your child from transitioning all you want, but in my opinion, that's a bit abusive. Okay, wait, maybe that was a bit intense. Let me clarify. What I mean by that is if your child is trans, you know, you've gone through all the proper steps of like going to see medical professionals, having them go to a therapist, a psychiatrist, all of these different people, and have like the full workup of the trans child, and they are diagnosed with gender dysphoria, and it is determined that this is what's best for them, and you do not allow them to do that, that's the same as withholding any other medication or any other medical treatments for a sick child. Gender dysphoria is a legitimate medical condition that needs to be treated as such. Okay, now I want to show you some of the tweets and some of the reactions that I've seen to this, you know, story, because they're crazy. They're just crazy, and I want to react. Okay, I'm sorry. It's not funny. I know I shouldn't be laughing, but I have to laugh because it's kind of funny. Of course, it comes from Gays Against Groomers, you know, the very infamous anti-trans, you know, Twitter account, or whatever you want to call it. And they tweeted, sexualizing and indoctrinating children is a red line that all good people must band together to say no to. First of all, this whole sexualization, being transgender, gender identity has nothing to do with sexuality. Like, that's just a lie. That's a lie, or a very, you know, horrible misunderstanding. This is not about sexuality. Nobody wants to teach kids about sexuality. That's not what this is. Don't be fooled. And it's also not indoctrination. Like, what are you talking about? Put your money where your morals are. Hashtag cancel Netflix. And then it says, cancel Groomflix. I f***ing can't. These people are crazy. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the people that are going to jail for grooming and for sex crimes against children. It's not trans people, babe. It's not trans people. In fact, wasn't there like a Republican or like a MAGA politician that just got arrested for sex crimes against children? This one says, hashtag cancel Netflix after 15 years. I can't put money towards this trans nonsense anymore. And it's just like a screenshot of the cancellation. You know what? Bye, Trey. That's fine with me. Good. Less transphobes on Netflix. Maybe that means that they'll stop posting like Dave Chappelle specials and like all these transphobic comedians and whatever, because all of them are leaving. So like they have no reason to post it anymore. Yay! Like I talked about the Dave Chappelle specials a couple times, and we never called for I mean, there were some people calling for a cancellation, but I personally never really called for a cancellation of Netflix. Not even of Dave Chappelle. I really am more so like this is what I believe. This is how I view it. This is the impacts that I believe it could have. Let's be aware of it. I'm more so an awareness spreader, if you will. Not like a cancel culture warrior. And it's also just so funny to me that like the cancel culture like critics and the people that were so adamant against cancel culture are now the cancel culture warriors. They always have been, let's be real. Hashtag cancel Netflix at Elon Musk. And then it's a picture that says any Netflix series, next to them, unnecessary gay character. Excuse me. You know, I can agree that sometimes they do over stereotype gay people, and it just comes off as like them throwing in a gay representation to a TV show and like just doing it just to do it. I can get behind that, and I'm also not really a fan of that, but I don't think that that's what this person is saying. I think that they just think that any gay character is just unnecessary to have, and like we shouldn't have any gay people in TV shows. It's time to live in the real world. There are gay people around. In fact, gay people, trans people are severely underrepresented in media, meaning, you know, the percentage of gay people in real life is higher than the percentage of gay people in these TV shows. So you got a rude awakening coming to you, babe. So, okay, this is also one of the criticisms that I saw. This one's a bit harsher. It says, hey, Netflix, as someone who's been with you for a very long time, I'm canceling. You're no longer a service, but now a full-fledged indoctrination and propaganda machine. Shame on you. I don't understand how they can say this when they also have transphobic content. They're literally just a corporation. They have no morals. Their morals are, let's make as much money as possible. Shame on you. That's so funny. Hashtag cancel Netflix, hashtag perverted Netflix, hashtag Netflix propaganda. Oh my God. And then with it, they included a screenshot of the profile of the creator of the Paranormal Park show, Hamish Steele. Their bio says they use he, they pronouns. Oh, they're a GLAAD award winner. Oh my God. Hey, we love GLAAD. And they were the creator of this show. And there was a screenshot underneath. It's not confirmed to be real, but it's a response to, I believe, a prime minister or somebody commenting on Charlie Kirk's assassination and saying, why the F are you commenting on this, kid? You sympathy for any of the families being slaughtered by your weapons, but a random gets shot and it's a public statement. You're such a fucking evil. Okay, listen, this is my opinion about this whole situation. I low-key kind of agree. I hate to say it. Let me explain. There's some nuance to be explained, okay? I am not in support of anybody who was, celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. I think that that's very distasteful. I think it's kind of very crazy to do. Let me clarify. But there is something to be said about how, a lot of public figures were coming out and speaking on this event, speaking on what happened, but have said nothing about the genocide in Gaza or nothing about children being shot in their schools. We could even bring it back to here. Nothing about trans people being attacked, nothing about trans people being murdered, nothing about our rights being attacked. This is the one thing that you choose to talk about. The man that literally said gun deaths were a necessary consequence of protecting the Second Amendment. It's a little wild. It's a little wild to me. Personally, for me, I think that violence is, never the answer. That's just my beliefs. It's also very ironic to me that the party of free speech is calling for, the cancellation of Netflix because one of the creators that they hired said something that they don't agree with. Isn't the reason that these people love Charlie Kirk so much is because he was able to say things that other people didn't agree with and, was able to have these discussions with people and, wasn't aggressive in their terms. Isn't that why they liked him? But now somebody on the opposite side is saying things that you don't like and you are trying to silence them. Make it make sense. We can take that even farther and talk about the Jimmy Kimmel thing, how the administration literally pushed, ABC or whatever network, to take Kimmel down. And let's talk about that difference, right? That differentiation between a violation of freedom of speech and a corporation's ability to fire people that they do not agree with and that they do not have aligned values with. Those are different concepts, right? If Netflix wanted to fire this creator for what they said, they're allowed to do that. What is not supposed to happen is the government pushing them to do that. That's a violation of freedom of speech. Moving on, let's watch a TikTok that somebody made in reaction to Elon's tweets, shall we?
There's a show on Netflix called Dead End that is rated for 7 years old and up. Season 1, episode 2, about 20 minutes in, I'm going to play this scene. But I really want to have some open dialogue with other parents about how they feel about this show. And specifically the topic that is discussed in this scene. I've thought about this all day long because I first found out about it this morning. And I'm not okay with my 7-year-old watching something like that. However, I'm fairly certain that scene would go completely over his head because he doesn't even know what that is. But I'd really love to have some open dialogue and some thoughts and input from other parents from both sides, so let's keep it civil.
She didn't even say a single word about why she... Ooh, I dropped my phone. She didn't mention at all why she was against it. She's like, I don't want my kids seeing that. Anyways, like, girl, why? What's the issue? Spill the beans. And then the comments on it. I would have thought this until I met trans kids. My kids understood and had met trans people by the time they were in kindergarten. I think this is a great example of a way to handle different feelings and conversations. Oh, I love that, Diva. Hearting that. It is biologically, psychologically, and developmentally inappropriate to being discussed. Girl, you don't even know grammar. To being discussed with a 7-year-old. Any sexual topic. We need sex ed in schools. We need sex ed in schools. We need to teach the kids about sex. We need to. Okay, that was a joke. But we need to teach these people what sexuality is and what it is not. And what it is not is transgender people, okay? Being trans has nothing to do with sexuality at all. I could talk about being trans all day long. You would not know a single thing about my sexuality. I like men. Now you do. No issue. My child is 10 and understands LGBT issues in an age-appropriate way. Knew you'd have an issue because you're a Trumper. Read her to fill. It's definitely not acceptable to expose children to sexuality at such a young age. That's the responsibility of the parents to guide them in the right direction. Just because the joke might go over their head, they're passively being exposed to it, and it could leave an impression on them. An impression of what? Trans people existing? I don't understand. An impression of what? It's not Netflix's responsibility to shape the minds and ideologies of children. Girl, if you... then don't let your kid watch Netflix. Literally, Every single piece of media ever consumed by a person ever is going to shape the way that our brains work, the way that we view the world. That's just how media works. If you don't want media to be teaching your kids things, shut it off. I'm sorry. But also, secondly, this is not a bad thing to learn. Like, what are they learning here? That trans people exist. They're gonna have to learn that eventually, babe. They're gonna have to. I agree, we shouldn't be talking about sex. We shouldn't be talking about sexuality. We don't even need to get into like any details about the trans people and like why they're trans, whatever. But like letting a child know that trans people exist, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Unless you just like despise the existence of trans people and just want to pretend that it's not real. But like, that's just like sheltering your kid.
Netflix is being boycotted over this children's cartoon. It's about a young transgender child who runs away from his grandmother's house because of her closed-mindedness, and he finds an escape and happiness through a portal into hell.
Oh my God, not escape and happiness. I'm dead, I'm sorry. Also, I didn't know about the portal into hell part. That's kind of iconic. I kind of love that. Leaving and going into hell is better than being in an environment that does not support you. What kind of message does that send? To parents, at least. Be supportive of your kid, or you're gonna be worse than hell.
Cartoon for 7+-year-olds, and it's about a trans kid who runs away from his homophobic grandma and finds a new support system while he gets a job at a haunted house, which is actually a portal to hell. Like, that's a real thing. It's a portal to hell. They discover that in the show. And also Barney, this is the transgender kid, has a pet dog.
Oh my God, also, by the way, the voice actor that plays Barney is also a trans guy. How cool is that? His name is Jack Barrick. Shout out to you, Jack.
Gains the ability to speak after being possessed by a demon. This is a show on Netflix.
Yo, what happened to Scooby-Doo? What happened to Rugrats?
What happened to Scooby-Doo? You mean the show where like there's a gay character? Velma's literally gay in Scooby-Doo. What is he talking about?
Hey Arnold, what happened to innocent, fun kids cartoons with no hidden agendas, with no hidden motives, with no indoctrination? Parents are sick of it. We are sick of not being able to trust our kids to watch material that is labeled for kids. Concerned parents are canceling their...
All I'm hearing is, I'm sick of not being able to put my child on a TV and not even monitor what they watch. If you want to go at your own pace, teach your kids about things at your own pace, that is perfectly fine. I think that is a very understandable thing to want to do. I think that keeping conversations like this to an age-appropriate level is also the right thing to do. But to claim that this is, you know, sexualizing children or indoctrinating children is just crazy. It's just cuckoo. Trans people are people just like everybody else. We didn't shut down the government. We're not responsible for the violence going on in this country, and we don't want to attack your children. That's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe right down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.